I would like to briefly discuss the importance of consistency in relationships, at least from my estimation. And I would like to take my own interpretation on this subject and give a discussion to you which I believe is somehow in some way authentic to me, although I think we cannot help but be influenced by others throughout this journey of life, whether it be poets or writers or actors, philosophers, or anybody of the sort. You see, it is my presumption, and perhaps not my presumption alone, that in order to cultivate what you might call a reciprocal relationship, one that is consisting of two people focused or aiming towards the same goal, which should be the greatest good or excellence. See, I believe that it is extremely important to remain persistent in your relationships, and as a man to be vulnerable and open with your woman, so that she knows that you are, in fact, in love with her, or rather that you love her, and that regardless of explicit circumstances and things which seem to be trying to tear you apart, you will continuously put in the necessary effort to maintain that relationship. And I think that this is extremely important. And of course, there's always going to be exterior temptations which are trying to allure you and bring you in and tear you away from the relationship that you have cultivated. And there's always going to be these things, regardless of how hard we try to not be caught up in the goings-on of the outside world. There will always be temptation, and perhaps this is what you can attribute to, or rather, what you can describe as devilishness, or what you might describe as the devil himself. It is temptation, which tries to tear you apart from things which are good. And you see this in the case of people who cheat on their significant others. Not to say that there isn't something genetically hardwired into our genetic codes, especially men, in pertaining to the tendency, or rather the desire for sexual diversity. But you see, I believe that we must fight this temptation, regardless of how attracted we are to somebody else. And I guess this also presupposes that your relationship is a healthy one. If you are not in a healthy relationship and it is toxic, well, I believe that you must take a long look at yourself in the mirror and try to figure out what is going wrong, not only with your relationship, but with yourself. Because you see, if you are in a toxic relationship to begin with, this probably means that there is something wrong with you. And you might feel the need or have the tendency to blame others, to project your shadow outwards onto the other world, or outside world rather, or rather the other person. Because you see, it is much easier to project your shadow onto the outside world than to accept it within yourself. Nonetheless, as I was saying, I believe that it is extremely important to fight this temptation in the external world, and to continuously put your effort and discipline into your partner, into your love and the cultivation of your relationship. You see, I like to look at it as if I am building an empire. And this is, in fact, how I look at it. You see, if you want to build something like an empire, and if you want to become king of this empire, well, you must first start from the ground up. You must build a solid base. And then on top of this solid base, you build more. You build buildings and houses. And you must bring in inhabitants, people, to create some form of an economy. And you must have a government because it needs to be structured so that it doesn't break into total chaos. And you must continue to do this, and you must maintain a scrupulous attitude towards this kingdom, and you must make sure that you do not become deluded and a tyrant if you are king. You see, you must be cognizant. You must be diligent and thorough. You must be disciplined and in control. And you must be observant. And you must see everything. And you must philosophize and write. And understand yourself so well that you cannot deceive yourself, although you still might just a little bit. But you must be so aware that when you deceive yourself, you figure it out immediately upon doing so. Because you see, as a king of this empire that you have built, in order to maintain it, you must be this way. And I believe that this is the way that you should behave towards your relationship with your partner. And not only just your partner, but I believe that the analogy definitely pertains more to your partner in life. Obviously, you can take these principles and direct them towards other relationships in your life, whether it be family, your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, or just your close friends. But I believe that an intimate relationship, a partnership, is much different than that. You see, when you enter into a partnership with somebody, you are, let's say, becoming one. You are unionizing with the other person. You tell that other person all of your secrets, all of your deepest darknesses, I guess, is what you could say. And in return, they tell you all of this stuff as well. And you see, in order to maintain this love and to continue forward, you must accept this about the other person, and they must accept this about you. And it is only when this is accepted that you can continue forwards, that you can make progress. You see, if this is not accepted on either side, you will come to what you might call an impasse, and the relationship will become stagnant and eventually die out. You see, like water, relationships like to move. They like to flow. Not in one particular direction necessarily, but it must be continuously flowing. And this could be, it could flow backwards or it could flow forwards. This does not matter. Because you see, sometimes in order to make progress, you must regress. You must go backwards into your shadow and acknowledge something that maybe you forgot along the way. And this is totally fine. But I believe that the only way that you can truthfully make progress is to make sure that things are continuously moving, continuously flowing, like water. See, water, although explicitly might seem to be able to come to a standstill, it never actually does. It's always moving. You see, even when you're looking out across a placid lake, and it seems to be not moving at all, there are currents going on underneath which you cannot see. And this is how you must keep your relationship continuously flowing so that it may progress or regress. But you must make sure that it never comes to that impasse, that it becomes stagnant and stops moving. Because you see, when something becomes stagnant, it is in a state of what you might call death. It is no longer moving. It is no longer alive. It is no longer gesticulating, which is extremely important, not only in life, but in your relationships. I think that this becomes rather conspicuous if you look back and contemplate relationships which you had in the past, which in the present now no longer exist. And if you do this, I think you will begin to realize that at one point in time, something became stagnant and then it eventually died out. Maybe not immediately, but eventually it died out and it became no more. Which is completely fine. But if you want to build a love so strong, you must make sure that you are the king of this empire, which is your relationship. And I believe that it is extremely advantageous to view your relationship as an empire. Because you see, as a king of an empire, if you built this empire, you would not want to neglect this empire, and you would not want it to decay rapidly, or come to a point where it stopped moving, or where people were poor and did not have food or nourishment, or where your economy wasn't functioning, or your government was falling apart. You see, you wouldn't want any of this. You would want to build a kingdom where all of the people in your kingdom were flourishing, were well fed, and had work, and were happy, and had enough time to spend with their families, and had enough money to build a house for their families. And you would want there to be music and parties. And you would want it to be a fully functioning society, full of, more or less, moral people. Surely, you're going to get some mischievous, malevolent people in any society, regardless. But you would want a state where people were generally reciprocal and work together. Because you see, when people work together, we tend to achieve the best results. We tend to achieve what you might call peace instead of war. And you see, sometimes love and your relationship can become a battleground. And at certain points, this may be necessary, because you see, what you are doing is breaking down walls. And in particular, in the beginning of a relationship, there is certainly going to be walls which have been built previously to meeting you. And as the king, if your sole focus is building something new, you must break down these walls of your woman. But this doesn't mean that you should break them down in a vehement manner, although sometimes this might be necessary. You must break these walls down when they need to be broken down. But you must not disrupt the system too much. And you must use your intuition in your ability to make decisions, the right decision. You must trust your will and your manhood and masculinity. And you see, I believe that this is what a woman wants from you. You see, I cannot tell you a particular moment where you should break down your woman's walls. You should know this inherently. As a man, you should trust yourself and your ability to make decisions. And believe me, if you embrace your masculinity, you will know exactly when to break down these walls. And if these walls are broken down and she lets you in, then it is your responsibility, now unionized with her, to rebuild not those walls which you broke down, but a brand new empire, a brand new kingdom. And you see, this, I believe, is what makes a king. And you must be patient, and you must be respectful and have dignity. But most importantly, you must make sure that you love yourself in a way where you are continuously aiming towards excellence, and you will accept nothing but excellence from yourself. And if you are in a place where you will accept nothing but excellence, not perfection, but excellence, meaning that you will always try your best, and that you will accept nothing but your best effort, from yourself. And this, I believe, is what you will demand from your woman. The greatest good. And you see, she will respect this about you, regardless of who the woman is. And if she doesn't, you simply walk away. You do not react. And I can understand that this is easier said than done. And of course, this takes practice. And this takes sitting with your emotions and observing them in a way where you are honest with yourself. And you see, it is important to experience emotions, to feel them. You should not repudiate your emotions. You should feel them deeply, profoundly. You should allow yourself to feel them. You should write about them if they bother you. But you should, most definitely, feel your emotion. I'm not telling you to be unemotional. I'm telling you to be authentic and honest. And in your authenticity, you should feel your emotions because you are, in fact, a human being. A real man is not cold. He is pragmatic and rational, but not cold. He feels his emotions deeply, but he does not react unless he needs to. He simply observes. And like I said, this can be easier said than done. And I understand it takes discipline to be able to cultivate yourself into this person. But I believe it can be done. But I believe it takes discipline and a consistent effort. But you see, these are the characteristics, propensities, and proclivities of a king. The king is not perfect. He knows this about himself. But he continuously works on himself. And he continuously implements discipline perpetually. This is something that you must spend the rest of your lifetime working on. And I believe if you can do this with yourself, and if you can be honest with yourself in this way, then I believe that you can be an amazing partner to your wife or your girlfriend, who should eventually be your wife. This is what you should be aiming for. Because you see, I believe that marriage is extremely important. Because you see, when you marry somebody, what you are doing is making a commitment to them. The same way you have made a commitment to yourself to continuously strive for excellence. And what you do when you marry someone, what you're saying to them, is that you are going to be there regardless. And that no matter what happens, no matter the feelings, no matter the inadequacies, no matter the hard times, pain, agony, anguish, regardless of what happens, until death, you will be there. And this is honorable. And as a king, this is the integrity that you should have. What kind of a man are you if all you want to do is have sexual intercourse with a bunch of random women who mean absolutely nothing to you, who you have not made a commitment to, and who you do not plan on making a commitment to? This is not noble in my eyes. And this is not something a king does. This is something maybe you have to go through in order to become a king. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't experience life. But I'm saying once you get to a certain point with yourself where you are only striving towards excellence, you will not accept this from yourself. And you will especially not accept a partner who wants to be this way. The woman you pick, she should be like you. And first of all, you should be this person before you decide to take a partner. You must love yourself in this way, so that you can love her in this way, so that you may build an empire together with her. And these are my feelings about relationships and about love and marriage. And I don't think that we should play with our lives. Although, this isn't me telling you that you shouldn't be free. I'm saying that you should have discipline and control so that you may play, so that you may enjoy your life and be happy in a way which most people are not. You see, all of these people have this idea of what life should be. And there are people who say, oh, I'm not disciplined, and I'm not the person who's going to eat healthy and do this and that and blah, 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 because I'm going to live life to the fullest, they say. I'm just going to live. But you see, I would say that these people are not really in control of their lives. And I don't think that you can be truly happy if you don't have the discipline which is necessary to cultivate your own life and cultivate your own vision for what you want your life to be. You see, going out every night or every weekend and partying, getting drunk, doing drugs, having sex with strange people. Sure, it might be fun in the moment and you might feel free and like you're living your life to the fullest. But you have no control over what is happening. Not to say that anyone ever has complete control, but what I'm saying is, if you are doing this, in no way do you have control over your life. Because you are so deluded that you go out and you run the risk of potentially making a life-changing and catastrophic mistake. Like having a child, getting an STD, getting killed, getting in a fight, going to jail, murdering someone, getting sentenced to life in prison. All of these potentialities open up when you let go in that way. You see, I believe in letting go, but I also believe in having discipline and being in control, because then you get to decide what kind of life you're going to live. And this, I believe, is not only advantageous, but extremely important. Nothing is guaranteed. But when we implement discipline and control, we can manage the outcome. We can increase the potential of our achieving something. But you see, when we do not focus, we do not know where we are going. And it's very dangerous to not know where you're going, to not have a vision. And as a man, I believe that your vision should be clear and that you should know exactly where you're going and that you should have faith, hope, but also have discipline. And this is what I believe.